Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Good morning. It is so good to be here. Whoa, yeah, it's working now. So good to be here with you folks and be able to share a little bit what God is doing in Mexico. And what I'd like to do this morning, I'm going to go right into a PowerPoint present. Oh, I got to take the cap off. PowerPoint presentation, show you a few pictures. Of where we're at, it doesn't cease to amaze me that just over the border in Mexico, so close to where we are, there are groups of people that still have never had a chance to hear the gospel, hear the truth of what God has done for them through His Son. And it's sort of a little mind-boggling to think about where we have been so blessed as a nation. There has been, not that there hasn't been attempts of different groups to come down and try to do things among these groups. But most of the groups, I would say the grand majority, have come down into Mexico, have looked at what they see as needs. You know, people living with maybe only 2 changes of clothes. So let's bring clothes down to them. And they've attempted, because of the difficulties of having a ministry and teaching, because of the language barrier, they've sought only to fill what they perceive as the needs, which they interpret as needs and looking on the outside in. When inside, you're looking at a people still, and these are all pictures, by the way, of tribal people just over our border. They look a lot like the Mexicans. If you'd never engaged in conversation, you wouldn't know. And some of them do speak a little bit of Spanish. But these groups, there's a number of groups, and we talked about, I think, the last time we were here, groups that in Mexico that still have yet to have the ability to hear the gospel in their language. And this guy right here came to our door just a few weeks ago, selling different herbs for different purposes. I had a good laugh. I won't go into the details of what some of the herbs did, but it was he was trying to describe to me, and he spoke very little Spanish. I asked if I could take his picture. He said, 10 pesos. And I said, 10 pesos? That's a lot for a picture. How about 5 pesos? Okay, he said. He's smart. Which is about 50 cents, 40 cents right now with the exchange. And so, these people, these faces, if you can see beyond just the faces, you see people that, like we saw this morning in Sunday school, people that live in darkness and have not only have never heard of Jesus Christ, they may have heard His name, maybe, but don't know the first thing about Him, don't know the first truth about God, but they can't. Even if you gave them literature in any language, it would not help them because they have an unwritten language. Still unlearned. So with this, I want to look at where is New Tribes Mission working right now among these groups, and this is our goal here. If you remember, I think the last time I was here, I showed something similar, where in red were the groups where we are working as a mission team. And I say a mission team, by the way, again, I want to repeat. In Sunday school, I emphasize this. That it's not just we exclusive, us as a mission, but we, all inclusive, all of you, as a part of our ministry, as a part of the team that's reaching those people. We, all of us, are working in these groups. I don't know if you, even though you weren't aware of it, you, by having a part in our lives and in our ministry, and praying for us and sending us, as it were, are having a part in reaching these tribal groups. And the last time I showed you this, there were only 6. Thankfully now, at this moment, right now, there's actually 2 of these. We've added 2 more in. There are 8 in red here. And this represents the groups, the language groups in Mexico that have still have yet to hear the gospel, and they need to hear the truth about God in their language because they maintain their own language. Does anybody remember, the last time I was here, I mentioned how many groups in total there were in Mexico? Does anybody remember that? It's been over a year, hasn't it? 225 people groups in Mexico. And of those people groups, a lot of them have made the transition or are well underway in transition to speaking Spanish. Some of them have totally forgotten their previous languages. Some of them are well in the transition into losing their language. They still maybe speak some, mix it up with Spanish. Some of the youth probably don't even speak even their tribal, their parents' language. It's in the process of disappearing. But these are the groups that still need to hear the gospel. In order for them to understand the truth about God, they have to hear it in their own language. So we're thankfully now in 2 more in Mexico. And that's, I ate out of, by the way, there was 52 in that list. 52 groups still waiting. And it's just 8 out of 52 groups. So we still need people to go. Any volunteers? And work with these people they need to hear. Here's a little map of the places where we are currently working or looking to work in soon. If you notice up Baja California, there's a number of groups, and this is an interesting thing, and I share this with you just as an encouragement to see how God can work. There are a number of groups called the Mixteco. Mixteco actually have a number of dialects within that language group, and they're different enough. They're on the border of, should we just consider this? Because the structure, or the grammar, what we refer to as grammar, is very similar, but the language itself is so different they can't understand each other. So we're almost to the point of thinking, well, really, we've got different language groups that fall under this Mixteco. One is the Zapoteco, and that's one we'd like to move into soon. Another one that's very close to the border, if you look right up here, is what is spelled there, Kickapoo. Kickapoo are very close to the U.S. border, and yet maintain their own language and still live isolated enough where they need to hear the gospel in their language. And that's where the rest are places where we're either about to move into. The Nahuatl, this one here, the L is actually a voiceless, live down in here. There's a group about to move into that group, and the Cora also here. And those are the newest ones, and these two are the ones that are added to the list because as we speak, we have a team, we have missionary teams mixed with both Mexicans and foreigners, I should say, not just U.S. citizens, but foreigners that are in the process of moving in to work with these tribes. They've been invited, as we mentioned this morning, and are going to be working with them. So that's an update of what you're doing, you're having a part in reaching people in Mexico. Now our part, we live in the city of Chihuahua. That is the capital city of the state of Chihuahua. It's right about in the middle, the upper middle of Mexico. It's right across the border from El Paso. A lot of you have heard some of the stuff that's going along, especially along the border. You hear in the news. A lot of people write us and are real concerned. Again, it doesn't involve us because it's just a thing of being aware of what's going on and keeping an eye open. You know, when you go in, you're walking downtown, you see a group gathering, probably not good to go that way, turn around, get out of there. Because there's different things happening. We try to avoid the police. We see police gathered, we don't go over near them because they are targets, they're involved. There's a very complex, this whole drug war thing, where it's the cartels between each other jockeying for position and control over areas,